You're listening to Built for Nature, an exploration of how humans are designed to live through first principles, light, water, magnetism, and the deeper forces that shape human biology. Today's focus is on John Ott's first book, Health and Light. First published in 1973, this book presents Ott's groundbreaking research on how different light spectra affect hormone regulation, behavior, and disease. John Ott wasn't a traditional scientist. He was a pioneer in time-lapse photography and a researcher into the effects of light on health. Through decades of filming plants, animals, and humans under different lighting conditions, he stumbled into something unexpected. Light doesn't just help us see, it shapes biological function, and not all light is the same. Ott's central claim is simple but profound. The type, spectrum, and timing of light exposure directly influences biological health. He observed that when living organisms are exposed to unnatural lighting environments, their health deteriorates in measurable ways. And when light environments are corrected, health improves. This idea sounds obvious today in the era of circadian biology, but Ott was documenting this decades before it became mainstream. One of the strengths of this book is that it's not built on abstract theory. It's built on repeated observation across multiple domains. Ott showed that plants grown under different light spectra develop differently. Some light sources produced weak growth, structural abnormalities, and reduced vitality, while full spectrum sunlight produced robust, resilient plants. Same soil, same water, different light, different biology. That pattern repeats throughout the book. Ott extended his experiments to animals. He documented behavioral and physiological changes in animals raised under artificial lighting. Things like reduced fertility, altered growth patterns, increased aggression, shortened lifespan. When lighting conditions were corrected, these issues improved. This was a major turning point in his work. To Ott, this suggested light wasn't just influencing plants, it was shaping mammalian biology. So naturally, Ott also looked at human health, especially in indoor environments. He observed links between artificial lighting and eye strain, fatigue, behavioral changes, and reduced productivity. But one of his most striking areas of focus was fluorescent lighting. He raised concerns that certain artificial lighting environments could subtly disrupt biological function over time. Not in a dramatic, acute way, but in a slow, cumulative way. And this theme should sound familiar by now. Modern health issues often aren't catastrophic, they're chronic. And Ott believed light was one of the missing environmental variables. One of Ott's most important contributions was emphasizing that light quality matters, not just quantity. A bright artificial room is not equivalent to daylight. Sunlight is full spectrum, dynamic throughout the day, and rich in wavelengths rarely present indoors. Artificial lighting is narrow spectrum, static, and missing key biological signals. Living systems evolved under full spectrum sunlight, and removing those signals creates biological mismatches. Ott emphasized that sunlight through glass is not the same as sunlight outdoors. Glass filters light. It blocks portions of the spectrum, especially parts of ultraviolet and infrared light that naturally occur in sunlight. To our eyes, a bright window can feel like being in the sun, but biologically, it's a very different signal. Ott observed that plants grown behind glass often develop differently than those grown outdoors, even when they appeared to be receiving plenty of light. Same brightness, different spectrum, different biology. This is an important distinction for modern life. Many of us believe we're getting sunlight because we sit near windows, drive in bright conditions, or live in well-lit homes. But if the spectrum is filtered, the biological signal is incomplete. This quality over quantity again. Light is not just about intensity, it's about spectral integrity. And that means direct outdoor sunlight carries information that filtered indoor light simply cannot deliver. Ott's work also demonstrates that light influences far more than just vision. He discussed effects on hormonal balance, growth and development, reproductive health, mood and behavior, and energy levels. This reframes light as a regulatory input, not just something that helps us function, but something that helps organize biological processes, which fits perfectly with the themes we've been building in this series. Light as structure, information, light as a biological input. Now let's translate this into practical terms. Our light environment is a massive foundational health variable. It's not a luxury, not a biohack, but a non-negotiable baseline input. So what does it mean for us? For most of human history, we basically lived outdoors or in structures that allowed large amounts of natural light. Modern humans spend most of their time indoors under artificial lighting. This is a massive environmental shift. And based on Ott's work, it's going to come with subtle biological costs: lower light intensity, reduced spectral diversity, less dynamic light exposure. All of this will influence circadian rhythm and systemic regulation. Sunlight is not replaceable. One of the strongest takeaways from Ott's work is that artificial light is not a substitute for sunlight. Sunlight cannot be replaced. There is no alternative. There is no second best. Even high-quality indoor lighting cannot replicate the intensity, spectrum, and daily variability of the sun. Sunlight isn't just nice to have, it's a foundational biological input. This aligns with what many people, myself included, intuitively feel. Time spent outdoors improves energy, mood, and sleep. Ott's work here gives us a framework as to why this is. So what about sunglasses and sunscreen? Well, Ott demonstrates how routinely blocking natural light from entering the eyes disrupts important biological signaling. Most people mistakenly believe that they need sunglasses to protect the eyes from brightness and UV exposure, or they wear them because they think it makes them look cool, unknowingly at the expense of their own health. The eyes are way more than just visual organs. They are part of our own light-sensing regulatory system. Light entering the eyes influences circadian rhythm, hormonal signaling, and neurological regulation. Chronically filtering sunlight before it reaches the retina alters those signals. Ott was particularly concerned about constant everyday use, not occasional use in extreme environments, but habitual reliance on sunglasses during normal daylight exposure. Regularly shielding the eyes from natural light contributes to circadian disruption over time. And since natural light is a biological input, routinely blocking that input will have downstream effects. He extended similar concerns to the skin. The skin is also a light-responsive organ, not just a passive barrier. Sunlight interacting with the skin influences multiple biological processes, including vitamin D, nitric oxide, and melanin production. Knowing this, routinely blocking direct sun exposure with heavy sunscreen will significantly reduce these vitally beneficial biological signals. Natural light is a biological input, and just like with the eyes, constantly blocking it will have unintended negative effects downstream. So when it comes to artificial light exposure, chronic exposure is what matters the most. Ott was especially concerned with cumulative exposure, not a single late night or a concert, but decades of time spent consistently in artificial lighting environments. Constant artificial light exposure, repeated daily, will compound, which mirrors how many chronic health issues develop, slowly, quietly, and systematically. So what do we do with all this? Well, since light is a foundational biological input, improving our light environment will improve our health. First, prioritize real outdoor sunlight with no sunglasses or sunscreen. The more skin that is touched by the sun, the better. Especially focus on the morning light within an hour of sunrise. The first hour of light after sunrise contains a unique spectrum of infrared A and ultraviolet A frequencies of light, which are essential for resetting the body's circadian rhythm and initiating key biological processes like activating melatonin synthesis and initiating apoptosis and autophagy, both of which are vital for cellular regeneration and preventing chronic disease. Bright rooms and sunny windows are not what we need. We need actual time outside where light reaches us unfiltered. Even short outdoor exposure will provide a richer biological signal than long periods indoors. Second, don't assume all bright light is equal. Sunlight through glass is not the same as sunlight outdoors. Filtered light may look similar, but biologically it is very different. Third, avoid sunglasses. Let your eyes experience natural daylight regularly. because the light that enters the eyes helps set the body's internal rhythms. And fourth, reduce artificial light whenever possible, especially at night. If you must have light after sunset, use red light bulbs or candlelight. Protect darkness during sleep. Let the day-night contrast return. These are simple shifts that are structurally important. Light is not just part of our environment, it is part of our biology. The biggest lesson from health and light is actually very simple. Modern humans are living under biologically unfamiliar light conditions, and that mismatch is having a detrimental influence on our health. Ott's work reminds us that not all health problems come from within. In fact, most come from the environments we build around ourselves. And sometimes the solution isn't a new intervention, it's restoring an old input. More natural light, more outdoor time, more alignment with the environments humans evolved in. Because since light shapes life, then the light we live under matters more than we think. Thanks for listening.